180 carry, and Sion pretty much walking wherever he pleases. And honestly, just Sion just doing Sion things.
Yeah.
Of course, it would be a disservice of us not to mention how impactful Chovy was. That rise,
yes,
kind of the quiet carry, making so many impactful plays around the map, putting so much pressure down, working with Canyon. An overall solid performance, and it ties us up as we jump into our third draft of the day, presented by Omen and HyperX.
First thing to note, because T1 lost the last one, this is going to be the first time that we get to see them have side selection. They've chosen to swap over to the blue side. So that means these bans are going to switch up a little bit, but only in terms of who's banning them. All of these champions have been banned already in the first half of the series. Back in game number 1, Gen.G on blue banned both Victor and Nico. T1's doing the same thing here. Back in game 1, it was Pantheon and Varus banned by T1 on the red side. Gen.G doing the same thing this time, as Cassante will be T1's final ban in the first half.
I don't know if that was Keen Sante.
Keen
It's
Sante.
going to be banned
my
away.
apologies.
Yeah, the one and only. I mean, that man is an absolute monster on this champ. And T1 do not want to deal with it here in game 3.
I mean, if I just saw that Sion game, I'm like, wait, Cassante does more damage than that Sion? You're not allowed to play that.
You're completely right. Ooh, okay, with the Skarner ban, the typical pair up alongside the Azir, that does suggest that Gen.G are willing to give that one away.
Yeah,
the posters are amazing here, I gotta say.
The Azir being open is the big thing that I'm looking at here. T1 with that first pick, and there it is. They'll lock it in for Faker.
The Emperor of the Emperor of Emperors will make his way onto the Rift. In the hands of Faker, no less. Gen.G will have to have a good response. We saw with the Victor ban coming through that they were prepared that they could get their hands on it, and I think the response here is fantastic from Gen.G. Get Keen on the Rumble, a big power pick in the meta as well. You do still have the Xin Zhao available too, and with the Poppy already removed, the Xin Zhao Rumble would be a fantastic pairing.
Absolutely, but I mean, Faker, so iconic on the Azir, 7-1 on it this split, and he has been known for this champion so many times. Ruler and Faker have history with these champions, catching him, with the flash ulti. It is his most played all time. It is a nearly 70% win rate all time. It is a dangerous proposition to give this champion over to Faker.
Especially when it's been banned in the first 2 games. Now here in game 3, getting through as the pools do become smaller naturally. T1 lock in the Nocturne for Owner.
Nocturne getting it locked in. I do wonder if we would get an Ornn as an answer into Keen's Rumble here. Would give them some additional engage. Yep, there it is. I do think it's a really good matchup for Ornn. You actually can trade very effectively with the Bellows Breath because Rumble is quite short range. It's actually really risky for Rumble to go in for some of these trades. Ornn can do very well in the early stages, and then you kind of just outscale and you have this incredible engage for your team fight. And it feels like they are already setting up for clear. They want to play, front to back in this really powerful scaling style.
I was really excited to see Chovy Silas. It looks like it's going to be the Annie instead. So Gen.G going for very much a mid-game teamfight spike. A lot of burst at their disposal. The Annie flash combo, the Rumble ultimate to facilitate. But I already like that T1, they're building a teamfight comp in response. I'm thinking champions like Ezreal would fit nicely in what T1 is drafting.
I mean, I think I'm banning Ezreal Xayah if I'm Gen.G, probably, because the reality is it's like you want some sort of a scaling carry like you're talking about for Guma, and you want something that is going to be easy to kill if you're Gen.G. They need to have a great dive target. Senna is already gone. That has already been played. Jhin is already gone. That has already been played. Instead, they're going to be targeting some of the supports here for Keria, which is interesting to me to see how they're going to react.
I mean, Rel rises in priority a lot with a lot of the engage supports already removed from the pool.
Yeah,
I mean,
Leona.
There's also the opportunity for Gen.G to just prioritize the Ezreal themselves, maybe as a denial, or maybe even take away the Xayah if they consider the amount of dive on the side of T1 threatening. The Tahm Kench actually going to be removed. So Duro not going to be providing that protection for Ruler this time around.
We talk about engage supports being out of the picture, but when you think about Rel, when you think about what can work into her with counter engage, you look at some of the things like Poppy, like Braum, like Alistar that are already banned for the rest of the series.
Yep.
Some of those powerful choices are just no longer an option no matter what, as Rakan will be the last ban here in Game 3 for Gen.G.
It kind of feels like they're saying the Rakan almost is the Xayah ban, like saying like this is the better half of the pairing, and a lot of the coaches and players that I've been talking to have been saying that they think Xayah is so much less effective without that Rakan pairing. So they often feel like they can kind of get a 2-for-1 on that ban. Whether that is the case, in T1's opinion, remains to be seen. They are targeting some of these denial picks here. The Tahm Kench, an interesting ban here. Mostly we do just see it alongside the Senna, so I'm a bit surprised to see that Tahm Kench was banned away.
They might be wary of something like a Jinx, because that's the other pairing that we've sometimes seen on the bot side of the map for Ruler, if they are leaning more towards, like, because again, if T1 want a front-to-back teamfight composition, I think that they would be afraid of enemy team picks Jinx and they don't have any way to lock that Jinx down. So removing the Tahm Kench gets rid of some of that peel. The Kai'Sa being paired alongside it so that the follow-up through from the Xin Zhao diving in with the Annie means that that's going to be taken out of the pool.
Also a little bit of recent history trauma there, maybe against Gen.G on the Jinx. The Game 5 of the upper bracket finals, Ruler deathless in that one on the champion was a massive impact. And there's the rel that you brought up, Vedias. That'll be locked in here. Pick number 4 for Gen.G for the big engage.
But think back just yesterday, you know, Guma as well, his Jinx was not to be outdone. It had some stellar gameplay on it. The Xayah is available, and they are considering it. You know, again, these are the two ADs that I was expecting, which is why I was kind of thinking a ban might be coming through between that Xayah and the Ezreal. And we'll see.
The Caitlyn.
He absolutely did. I mean, T1 have been such trolls with the hovers, so I'm never going to trust the hovers.
I never comment on it until they lock it in.
Don't worry, I will, guys. Don't you worry about it.
You're the Twitch chat of the cast. All right, well, we do get the Xayah. One of the picks definitely I did expect. It feels like you need to have a safe AD carry, right? You know, you're just such an obvious target. The one thing I will say is that Nocturne feels a little bit disjointed from the rest of the composition, so they do need something else to kind of fly in with you. It is going to be Renata. So Renata winless at MSI, but you could just blame Kalista if you're a T1 fan. Just blame Kalista. It's not Renata's fault. She's getting dragged down. She's hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Kalista is the queen of the dumpster at this MSI at 0 and 10. However, Renata is still dumpster royalty right there with TF. Both of them 0 and 8 at this event. We'll see if T1 can break that curse here, as the AD carry for Gen.G will be Sivir.
So Sivir rising in priority, it feels like over MSI. You know, with the Kai'Sa banned out, this is a pick that people don't traditionally think of it as working with a dive comp, but it enables it because of the ultimate, because of the speed up, and you can kind of ricochet through the front line to access the back line here. A lot of really iconic picks, though, coming through for a lot of the players. Owner 24-4 on the Nocturne, Chovy 11-3 on his Annie, and Carry at 30-9 all-time on Renata. So some really strong picks here.
The thing about the spell shields that you've got to be careful of is it's not that effective against Nocturne. If you pop the spell shield early, you won't be blinded. That's not going to stop Nocturne from flying on your face. It's a hard spell. Ideally, you want to be saving that for things like the Shurima Shuffle, potentially the Renata ultimate, potentially the Ornn ultimate. But you can see that as the list goes on, there's quite a few things that you need to be cautious of. And as a champion, while she does get that movement speed from an ultimate, she's not going to get a lot of peel. And this ultimately becomes the big point of concern for Gen.G. There is a lot of backline threat with Ornn and Nocturne and a Renata there to support them. So we'll see how these teamfights play out, because it's going to be explosive.
It really is. And honestly, I love T1's comp minus the jungle pick. I just think the jungle pick feels like it's so disjointed from the rest. There is no big carry to dive in with you. So I do worry that as the game progresses, the Nocturne goes in on the Sivir, and then you're going to hit a point where all of a sudden you just don't have enough damage to actually solo out these AD carries. Then the Nocturne's job becomes a little bit confusing. It's kind of like, what is your role here? Where, you know, everyone else is like, Renata is peeling for the Azir and the Xayah, the Ornn is looking for these long-range engages, but you're really playing front to back, and then the Nocturne is kind of disjointed. I do feel like Gen.G's comp is more cohesive.
All right, into the game yet again. Only one Summoner Spellbook. This time it's for Gen.G. But as we're waiting for the action to start, Laura is standing by once again, this time with Kadril.
Thank you, guys. I have the Rat King here. Okay, what do you think of the series so far?
It's amazing. I really hope we get 5 games. The crowd's insane. The games are insane. This is perfect.
Okay, but important question here. What do you think is stronger, T1 plot armor or the 08 Renata?
I mean, T1 plot armor, but they need to go really late game to win this, I think.
All right, let's see how this one goes. Thank you so much, Kajol. Over to you guys.
All right, we've got it. We've got the opinion here. He says the plot armor, but it's got to go late. We'll see if they can get there, or if Gen.G can drag them into an earlier fight. That feels like a sentence that doesn't feel supernatural, saying that Gen.G wants to make it messy, wants to get scrappy early, but that is sort of the assignment here in this one. Immediate heal for the aggro play in bottom lane at level 1. Duro and Ruler, they're ready to go.
I mean, these bot lanes just know that priority matters so much in some of these matchups. So double heal going to be traded back and forth. You know, Duro using it for the health, using it for that move speed to close the gap on Aguma and try to get a good trade because they really want to have the push here as Sivir. You want to try to lock your opponents under their tower. Otherwise, you are just going to be getting constantly poked out here by this Renata. Even the barrier spent that early just for one auto attack.
My goodness. Rula wanting to stay healthy. The level 2 secured. The stun will connect. But I think the thing Rula has to be super concerned about early is just his mana. You burn through your mana on Sivir very early on into the game. If you're going to use all of it to focus on trading, then you're going to limit a lot of the wave clear options that you have. Kumiyushi falling behind in terms of health, but the pots are now gone for the AD carries. And keep track of the junglers. Both of them heading that way, doing that full clear from the top side towards bot. And I feel like the big point of contention is going to be this bot lane 2 versus 2.
All right. 300 HP on both of our AD carries as the auto attacks keep flying back and forth. The junglers both collecting their second buffs, but it is Gumayushi and Keria getting the better trade. Flash from Duro, but he's still caught. First blood, 2v2, Keria and Guma.
He flashes out, but the feather pull from Guma roots him up, so he's locked down even after the flash. And Guma just flashes to follow. This 2v2 was so spicy right from the word go. And it is T1 coming out on top.
A nice advantage gained for T1 and a punish of Duro's positioning in the lane. He thought that he was safe, but great patience demonstrated by Keria to bring him back into the arms of his AD carry as they secure a kill. Guma did lose his flash in the exchange, but I think T1's going to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, you can see, you know, Duro just using the crash down for the shield, but once the handshake connects, his flash as he gets out of the CC is just a split second too late because he was still locked up. The feather pull route is there. Guma for the flash follow gets the kill, and that is a nice early advantage here for T1, who do have a very strong scaling comp. You can see the frustration on the staff from Gen.G there, knowing that could have some pretty big knock-on effects for the rest of the game. But I want to talk a bit about Chovy and Faker. Both of these guys have been so pivotal in the wins for their teams. Faker, incredible in the Orianna game 1. Chovy, incredible in the Rise game 2. Chovy had this quote back in 2023 in August, talking about how he knows how to play against Faker. We might have a gank here, doesn't look like it. And then after this quote to me is important because of the excellence he has displayed against Faker since then. His record against Faker since this quote has been nothing short of stellar. It is incredible. Nearly a 90% win rate in domestic best ofs. Game score 77%. International though, Faker still, you know, having that success here. It is dead even after that last series. And it's just so impressive to see Chovy's growth and how dominant he has been as an individual, even against the likes of Faker, the undisputed greatest player of all time.
Right, you think of Faker and of T1, and you think of this is the best, the winningest League of Legends team to ever exist in the history of LoL Esports. And Gen.G really are the team that consistently rivals them, that consistently challenges them, that domestically often gets the better of them, but then internationally it is a war so often.
I mean, honestly, it is a crazy flex to say, yeah, I've played enough against Faker as he might be, oh, he's in some trouble, owner's here to cover. It is a crazy flex to say, yeah, I've played enough against Faker, I know how to play against him, and then just casually drop, you know, 90% win rate in regional series.
I mean, isn't that the beauty of a rivalry? Having the confidence to understand your opponent and learn through the years to become better. And as you rightly said, domestic versus international, very different tales. What's crazy to me is the head-to-head record now, I think, is still 62-62 all time because the series is 1-1.
Having a casual best of 127 between the two mid laners. Yes. Going to be decided here today.
And I expect these two mid laners to meet many times more in the future. For now, though, it's T1 with the lead. They will secure the first dragon of the game. We will see Canyon in a position... No, he's just going to drop a ward and realizes that there is no fight here. Chovy has to go back to base. Duro's got to be careful.
Yeah, Duro caught with a handshake there, but a nice shattering strike ready to respond. Canyon joining up with his bot lane duo, but there's just no way for them to close the gap in time and get anything after that. Free Drake, T1.
Honestly, the damage was good enough by Rula that I thought that there was an engage option for Duro. Instead, they choose to take the more risk-averse approach. They will allow T1 to walk away. Canyon going to clear out some vision around the mid lane. And so far in this series, we've been seeing a lot of swaps, but for now, these teams are going to match up in their respective lanes.
Absolutely, and I think Keen is going to be happy to continue laning against Ornn. He did go first strike. We hadn't touched on that yet, so he is just going to be playing to kind of just farm gold off of the Ornn, realizing, hey, I'm probably not going to be able to kill him. It is just going to be more of that farm lane. Doran already has a lot of magic resist here built up. Again, I do think it is quite a good matchup for the Ornn. One of the rare tanks that can kind of match that pressure that Rumble can put out in the early stages. But Keen with, I think, a smart adaptation, just trying to get to those faster item spikes thanks to the first strike.
And I think that Keen has been the better top laner, surely, so far in the first 2 games. Remember that this is Doran's first international appearance. In game number 1, Keen controlled the lane early, but as T1 won more team fights, it was, right, exactly, first finals, excuse me. But Keen controlled the game early, the lane early in game number 1, and then he wasn't able to find the impact as his team fell behind in the team fights. In game number 2, Doran's Camille never accomplished the goal that he was drafted for, while Keen became the raid boss on the Scion, just creating this massive difference in presence in the games. Now Keen off to another laning phase where he has that slight gold lead. Doran, however, staying even in farm early on this one, which is an improvement from games 1 and 2.
Well, 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 gentlemen, look what time it is. 8 minutes in, and it's grub o'clock. Ruler already making his way to mid lane. Faker looking to get the push out. AD carry top for T1, which means that T1 will have better positioning, but Duro and Chovy cutting off the route for carry, who just ticked over to level 6. That could very well be the level difference.
Okay, keep your eyes on the engage going in immediately. Doran trying to use the Ornn Horn, but it only finds its way on a canyon. Now they got to try to continue to look for a little bit more engage. The lights go out, but enough. Ready for Gen.G as they tried to fight back. Canyon with the flashback over the wall as Ruler fires out with a ricochet. Doran trying to get his way out as the Shurima shuffle defends T1. Gen.G take control of the topside river. There's no kills, there's no bodies, but Gen.G no longer deal with resistance. T1 forced all the way out as Gumayushi lets the feathers fly, but nobody on Gen.G is under threat. Critically, T1 and Owner secured the first grub. It won't be all 3 for Gen.G, but they control the top side of the pit.
Yeah, Gen.G going to be able to walk away with 2 of those grubs, so they will get credit for the objective take here. Chovy critically got a ton of damage down early. We can see the equalizer used on Goom on the top side, but Chovy on the other side finds Faker as he tries to enter right here. Chunks out Faker incredibly low. Keria had to spend the heal, and this kind of meant Faker couldn't really get very involved in the play. So even though the hostile takeover was quite good from Keria, the fact that Faker is just fully zoned out there by Chovy and by the Tibbers made it really hard for T1 to have enough damage to punch through.
That Azir wall buying enough time for T1 to escape. You could see how low the health bars were, but that was just a taster of the fights to come. We're expecting this game to be hectic with the engaged compositions that both sides have drafted. But still, 1-0 the scoreline for now.
The Soldier's job is to protect the Emperor, and that time they did just that for Faker and T1. 1 Drake for the side of T1, 2 grubs to 1 for Gen.G. Means our neutral objectives are tied in regards to the feats. Only a single kill on the clock here, 10 minutes into the game. Remember Lore's interview with Cadril at the very start of things. Cadril saying he wants to see T1 try to take this one late if they're gonna win it. 1 kill at 10 minutes feels like a good start for keeping the game at the pace you want.
I just love the tension that always builds between these two teams. Sometimes you get these games where it is low in kills, but the pressure is never alleviated. Both of these teams are incredibly proactive on the map. They play super well around objectives and vision specifically. And let's have a quick look at the vision control that Gen.G have right now. Control ward here, 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 here. Like the vision coverage across their entire entrances to the jungle, just to make sure they have a clear idea of what T1 is up to. And T1 no slouches either, matching that vision, keeping track of whether or not Canyon tries to set up any invades and steal away those camps.
That's exactly what you said. I mean, I think you nailed it, right? You know, the tension is around these small objectives. It's not always the dragon. It is about getting the push, fighting for the advantage there so you can move in, link up with your jungler, clear out wards, establish control and priority, because both of these teams are playing the game at such a ridiculously high level that so much of the fights are actually won prior to the fight with the setup.
And talking about setting things up, Keen is back to his ways from games 1 and 2, now with a solid gold lead for himself, the largest individual lead in the game. at over 400 gold here on the Rumble up against Doran's Ornn. Remember, a lot of the times this matchup starts to feel much better for the Ornn once Kanik Rookern is completed. The existence of the Magic Shield allows you to trade very effectively into Rumble's damage, but that first completed item does go over to Keen with Leandri's now done. Teleport available for Keen, but he's also already here. T1 are starting up the objective. Gen.G are coming down to try to do something about it. Equalizer drop, but it only finds Owner. Magnet Storm again, only on Owner. Here comes the Ornn Horn as T1 are firing back. 1 for 1 here at the very start as Doranaguma Yushi have to fall back. Tibbers the front line for Gen.G. Faker goes in, but he doesn't have the range for the shuffle. Now Tibbers still tanking it up. Beautiful blade caller. Gen.G trying to get away now as Ruler's down to 200. Guma down to 200. Chovy nearly kills him, but it's still just the 1 for 1.
How are the team fights this tense? The HP bars are so low. Canyon will interrupt the base from Doran, but it ends up being just 1 for 1. The engage onto Owner to catch him as T1 is trying to retreat from the Dragon, but T1 fight back. Owner does not go down without a fight. The fact that he's able to trade a kill back in that situation is crazy, but T1 still walk away with the Dragon.
Yeah, ridiculously close fight there. Guma barely surviving, Chovy barely surviving. And Gen.G committed a lot just to get that 1 kill. As Faker going to be pressured, but should be able to walk this one out. Chovy does have his flash, but I don't think he's going to spend it in this spot with Keria around.
Yeah, Duro, yeah, he lands crash down. Yeah, he follows up with Shattering Strike, but with no damage in range. With that massive fight having just occurred, ultimates are all down. You can look at the cooldowns on the scoreboard. Only Faker's was still left. We saw him go in, try to find an opportunity to use it, but not find it. Here's the fight again.
Exactly, and there's no flash here on Owner, so everything is being committed. They're locking him down, but Owner just pops the ult, turns around, gets 1 kill back. The hostile takeover put a lot of pressure onto Canyon as well as Keen, and then Guma goes in to cover Faker. As Faker overextends a little bit here, Guma's just going to move right to the wall. You can see that feather pull into the knockup right there from Doran against the wall. Really well played combo, but Chovy trading back nearly takes down Guma.
They get the flash out of Ruler, which I didn't see live in the fight. You can see that.
They both look disappointed.
No one is happy with the fight.
Love the reactions from Coach Helper there on Gen.G. Keria going to be interrupted on the recall, but my goodness, I mean, it feels like we're just waiting for that one fight to break the game open because it's so back and forth right now. It can really swing either way, and the Herald 50 seconds away could very well be the objective that breaks this game open.
That coach reaction was the opposite of what you talked about earlier, Isaac, with everybody feeling good about winning the draft. That time they both felt bad about not winning the fight, even though it's just that 1 for 1. Faker there, once again, the target of Gen.G. But I feel like throughout his career, one thing that has made Faker stand apart from all of the other players, from all of the other highest ranking mid laners, he's so good at absorbing pressure. Yeah. He's so good at providing threat while also not putting himself in a spot to be punished.
I mean, it sounds like an oversimplification, but he just knows how to win, right? Like, he knows where to be. He knows what to do. He knows what he can give up and when he cannot. He knows exactly how to play to win. And that is why it's sometimes shocking. You know, he can be losing lane, he can be, you know, giving over kills, but he still is going to find the best possible route towards victory, and I think that really is what makes him so special. Vetti, you said how it is, you know, a very kind of close game right now, but I think that favors T1 because it's going very slowly.
Okay, Gen.G have control over the top side river. Rift Herald, the target. Teleport coming in from T1.
Here we go.
Herald's already down to about 4,000. T1 got to be ready to turn out the lights here. Soon over the back, and Storm already crashes down from Duro. Equalizer over the top and a ton of damage back to the Gen.G support. Backline of Gen.G under a little bit of pressure as Ruler's first to die. Owner going in, looking for Chovy here too. Canyon shoveled away as Chovy has to run. T1 domination. Another kill about to come through as Doran follows Keen, and not a single man on T1 has fallen. The recall from Chovy trying to get away. The handshake denies it. Chovy on the run with the blast cone, but he's not going far. Owner ready here with a spell shield. Needs a little bit more. A double kill to Keria. A 7-1 game for T1.
It is a great engage from Duro, but it is a better answer from Keria. The hostile takeover hit all 5 members of Gen.G. and that completely changed the course of the fight, completely changed the course of the game. We have to watch this one more time. Duro finds T1 as they're stacking up. You think this is going to be the incredible engage, but watch Carrier here. Hostile takeover comes out. It hits everything. All 5 of them get tagged by it. The spell shield was used early. The follow-up from T1 was perfect. The Ornn ulti goes through the whole team. Ruler's spell shield was used early against the Nocturne, and that was a game changer.
An exceptional response from Carrier. Nice indeed. And I mean, in that fight, Chovy flashed forward to try and follow up, but he actually only connected his ultimate onto Doran. So the fact that he flashed forward then meant the response from Doran, he could CC Chovy, knock him into the air, and he's removed from the fight in an instant.
See, I told you it was Gliss's fault. Renata's innocent.
That might be the case here, because T1 is looking good in game 3. A 3,000 gold lead, the additional reward after the fight. They claim soul point as well. We are only 17.5 minutes into the game, and Gen.G now have the responsibility of trying to defend every Drake hereafter. You think Ornn's tough to deal with on the front line already? You think these guys are hard to kill right now? Mountain Soul is going to make it a whole lot worse. Carrier with the play of the game. Hostile takeover is slow as hell, and he put it in the right spot to just completely win the fight.
One thing, too, that's hard to notice when we're just spectating is the fact that with the Nocturne ult, it creates so much additional chaos. It's hard to actually see the hostile takeover coming. In the chaos of a fight like that, the lights get turned off, there's Ornn ult, there's all of these things flying in. It could be a lot easier to not see that hostile takeover, and I think that did contribute to the fact that Gen.G, no one could react to it to avoid it.
And maybe that's the answer to the question you posed back at the end of draft. As this game goes on, what is Nocturne's role? The job is to just make it impossible to respond to Ornn, to respond to Renata, and allow Azir and Xayah to DPS the fight.
And it's important to recognize that while T1 is in a good position, when we look at the items, they're actually very similar for the time being. Of course, T1 is a bit ahead of the play. Faker's likely going to complete his second item before that of Chovy, ahead of this neutral objective. But there is this window where, itemization-wise, T1 don't have such a significant lead over Gen.G just yet while they're in that component stage, which means that Gen.G still have a chance to fight back and potentially turn this game around.
I feel like they have to find that chance soon, because to me, it's not just about the items, it is about the scaling. You're facing against an Ornn, an Azir. Renata is going to have tremendous value in those later stages, and Guma is going to be so hard to knock down as he gets towards some of those luxury items later on. So I do think Gen.G absolutely in with a chance, but they have got to be picture perfect in their engages at this next dragon. You can't give over soul. So basically, I feel like the game gets decided if it is T1's or if it continues and goes on at this next dragon in 230.
And I feel like when you look at these champions on Gen.G, when you see the Rel and the Annie, and then you have the Rumble equalizer over the top, they want to go in, they want to coordinate together. And that Nocturne ulti that you bring up, Isaac, just makes it so hard for everybody to coordinate the engage the way that they want to.
Well, Gen.G is going to have to find a way to bring that coordination together. 2 minutes until the Mountain Soul. Duro. Yeah, get away to safety just barely.
Yeah, one more feather from Guma Yushi would have been the third there for the root.
They want Otacon. They're pinging on it. T1 are just going to start it up.
Chovy with a teleport coming in. T1, control over this bot side river.
Annie did use her ult in the top lane onto Faker, so the burst that she has available from it is not going to be up for the fight. T1 is trying to put pressure onto Gen.G knowing this.
And the Tibbers is not even alive anymore. It can't even just do the random AoE damage from the burn. So now Gen.G, they're starting up the Otacon, but no Chovy ulti. It could be very risky. T1, they don't have Faker here. He doesn't have a teleport. Gen.G are trying to force the issue before the T1 mid laner arrives. They've got the Otacon down to 3,000. Canyon's about to die. He stays alive with a nice crescent guard as it's stolen away by Owner. T1 find exactly what they need. And Owner with the clutch steal tops it off with a double kill. Gen.G just completely lost everything.
In the face of Owner, Gen.G will get nothing. They lose 2. They lose the Otacon. and you can feel the momentum riding as T1 dominate here in Game 3.
T1 have just been so deadly around these objectives here, pushing forward to try to get even more off the back of that. This is going to be an over 5,000 gold lead now. So I want to see that replay one more time, because to me, Owner was huge, but Guma just as important. The feathers that he had stacked up there. Canyon had the Otacon in a weird spot where basically he was right on the precipice of it actually leashing. So watch what Guma is doing. He's stacking feathers right in this area. So Canyon, when the Otacon starts to actually leash, he has to walk back in. And what happens is he walks through all of these feathers right here. He charges back in. There is the route that chunks him incredibly low. This is what allows T1 to just go in on the fight, even though Faker is not already there. So it's a quiet thing, but it was so incredibly important. Oh. He realizes, I'm about to die to this Nocturnal. I need to get my smite down before I go down. And as a result, Canyon smite just too early. Credit to Owner for nailing it, but credit to Guma for setting it up.
And Owner stone cold with his expression, calm and collected as another exchange in the river.
And this exchange is because the Mountain Soul for T1 is alive. They've got a 5,000 gold lead. And if they secure the Soul, Gen.G knows their chances are disappearing fast.
Duro already at about 60% HP. He's looking for an angle, but the vision coverage by T1 is just too good. Look at the bot wave. T1 have pushed that one all the way to the tower. Gen.G is feeling the pressure across the map. Duro desperately trying to find a flank.
Duro wants the flank, but Carry has marked him. Look at Canyon, he's over the wall here. He has the flash on the Xinjiao. Equalizer already used. Magnet Storm over the top, but it doesn't find a lot. Hostile takeover, roaring through the river. Gumayushi's already killed Duro. 3 dead on Gen.G. T1 are ruthless. Owner is unstoppable, and that Dragon Soul is free for the taking.
T1 taking full control now. Duro thought he found an angle to get in on Faker, but there was no one to follow up at all. Faker was barely threatened. T1 turn around the fight easily, claim the Soul, extend the gold lead even further, and it feels like T1 are about to send us to match point.
The team fighting in this series has been nothing short of incredible. Ruler looking to get a bit of revenge.
Yeah, flashing after Carrier to get this kill. One more auto attack is what he needs. Shut down on the enemy support. Carrier 2-0-10 before that. But the cost is still the Mountain Soul for T1.
T1, 13 kills to 2. Decimated this team fight. The Rumble ultimate used very early on. A nice engage and the flash follow-up from the Xinjiao, but he doesn't quite connect it. The darkness is dropped and immediately Gen.G just becomes scattered. Ruler's not hitting anyone in the team fight. He doesn't feel safe. He is literally paranoid at the Nocturne flying at his face, and everything falls apart for Gen.G.
And T1 absolutely dominating there in our MasterCard priceless moment of the game. Faker's follow-up after the initial engage as well from his team was fantastic, and now you have to think Gen.G with his composition that is very much one punch. It's about the initial engage here. It's really only Ruler that does much consistent damage, and it doesn't feel like he's going to be enough. Mountain Soul is going to be so hard to get through.
And even though Chovy wasn't caught in the hostile takeover in the fight, Owner just zeroes him out and kills him. Chovy, the team only has 2 kills. Chovy's the only one without an assist or a kill on anything. The Annie has been invisible in this game.
And bad goes to worse when you realize Doran now is upgrading items for his team. He already has his upgraded Caning Rookern. They have the upgraded Nashers there on Faker, and they are threatening this Baron here, but will pull off.
All right, Gen.G,
Deep
they
TP.
gotta make something crazy happen. Chovy looking for an opportunity as T1 try to back away. Owner's gonna turn out the lights. Chovy's been found waiting in the brushes as the hostile takeover with the Doran ulti combine to instantly execute Gen.G. T1 with a quadra kill for Gumayushi.
He wants the
Gen.G
penta.
thought they had a plan, and T1 deny it.
Exquisite execution from T1 as they dismantle Chovy's attempt for a flank. No room is given as Carrier's ultimate sends them to their grave. The Baron will be secured, and T1 is dominating in Game 3.
This game is mandatory VOD review for every other Renata Glask at the tournament. Carrier is showing how it's done.
He has been a massive difference maker here for T1. The positioning has been fantastic from him in every single fight. Gen.G, they
It's
realize we
beautiful.
have got to send it, but look at this, over the wall, plus the Nocturnal has the lights turned off. He is out of vision. The positioning is perfect from Keria. That is why this guy has won as much as he has. Faker now in trouble.
Yeah, Faker's been caught out, tries to use Emperor's Divide to make himself enough space for his team to show up, and yes, he does. Now Owner enters into the paranoia. His target is Keen. Keria ready to follow up here, goes for the handshake, finds the enemy top laner. Faker's on a killing spree, and Ruler tries to run. Owner's in hot pursuit, and the Fear Tether doesn't have the range to proc just yet. Ruler's the target, Gumayushi's the killer, and Faker cashes in. A double kill for the Azir as T1 break into the base.
There is a cost for attacking the Emperor himself, and Gen.G have been forced to pay it. The Nexus is in their eyes.
T1 with a 5v3. First Nexus turret the target. Hostile takeover zones Gen.G away. T1 19-2. 13,000 gold ahead. All they need is a minion wave. They've got it here at the Nexus. Duro's next to die, and Chovy's Annie is about to follow. T1 in the strongest performance thus far are at match point.
Incredible performance here from T1. The Nocturne combo with Renata did go crazy.